Celia Cruz.
We have a very special guest in our studio today, Eloy Cepero. Besides being a wonderful human being, he's also a Cuban music historian and collector. In fact, I think you have one of the largest Cuban music collections in the whole United States, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I know you remember. I remember that you invited me to your office once and I saw it and I was just amazed because I had never seen so much beautiful music together in one room. And how many records do you have?
It's around 20,000.
And they're in their original packaging and everything. And the key to all of this is that you were involved with the making of this documentary, Yo Soy Celia Cruz. So tell me a little bit about that.
The documentary was actually made by Alicia and Hugo Barroso.
Okay.
And when they approached me, I said, yes, I can provide to you the music, the videos, and some history about Celia Cruz. And then we began doing the documentary, which I believe is one of the best documentaries ever made about Celia Cruz.
And what propelled them to do this, to make this particular documentary? How is it different? Because I know there are other documentaries that have been made about her life. So,
well, this documentary was made when she was still alive.
Oh, okay.
This documentary was made 12 years ago. They actually began 15 years ago, but it was completed about 12 years ago. And that is the importance of this documentary. When she died, Univision used this documentary to announce that she had died and put a little background on her life.
Did you get to meet her?
Yes, I did.
How wonderful is that?
I was president of Latin Builders, and we used to bring her just about every year to sing for us on the 20th of May, which is the date of Cuban independence.
Independence Day, right?
And she was unbelievable. When she was singing, nobody would dance. Everybody just wanted to see Celia Cruz because she has so much energy.
So they were just spellbound.
I mean, including myself.
So tell me a little bit about her life, like a young Celia. What was she like?
Well, Celia was supposed to, well, actually she studied to become a teacher.
Okay.
And she actually graduated from as a teacher in Havana. And then somebody suggested, her cousin Serafin, that you should go to the music school. So she graduated from the Conservatory of Cuban Music in Havana. And she began singing Afro-Cuban music. And later on, she became such good singer singing the Afro-Cuban that then she goes into La Guaracha, which is a Cuban genre. And after that, everybody knows she became the La Guarachera de Cuba, the La Guarachera del Mundo, of the world, and later on, the salsa queen of the world.
Well, I'm going to ask you more questions about that. Eloy, I have so much to ask you.
Okay.
But you were saying that she was known as La Guarachera de Cuba. Okay, I'm fully bilingual.
Okay.
I have no idea what guarachera means. And I've always wondered this. What exactly does guarachera mean?
Guaracha is a genre very popular, who actually began in Cuba in the 19th century, but really took off in the 1930s. And then she became the La Guarachera de Cuba.
And how old was she, more or less, about that time?
She was about 19 years old when she started.
Which I wanted to ask you. We talked about her influence of Afro-Cuban music when she first started and how she wanted to be a teacher and so forth. But what was the Cuban scene, music scene back then, when she was young and getting her, her break and starting and trying out?
Well, she actually went to a contest about one of these Afro-Cuban songs, and she won it. And actually, the judges were Rita Montaner, Rodrigo Prats, y Gonzalo Roy, three of the most famous Cuban musicians.
And how old was she?
She was 19 when she won.
Oh, okay.
And after that, somebody suggested you should sing with La Sonora Matancera. So, and that's how
La Sonora Matancera.
La Sonora Matancera, which is actually the dean of all the Cuban conjuntos, groups.
Right, right.
And
but they already had a singer at that time.
Well, actually, the La Sonora started in 1924, and they had a Puerto Rican singer, and which is Mirta Silva, was very famous in Cuba, but she made so much money in Cuba that she actually went back to Puerto Rico, retired, brought her home, and then La Sonora didn't have a female, and then somebody suggested, why don't you try La Sonora? And at the beginning, when she recorded, people didn't like her when they listened to her.
Really?
And then Rogelio Martinez, who is the director, said, I'm going to stick with her because she's going to be good. The minute she records Cacao, Maní Picao, and El Llaverito Moderno, that hit the waves, and she became very famous. Not only that, she made La Sonora to be the most famous group in Cuba until 1960 when she leaves the island.
Wow. El Llaverito Moderno, that's, what was it that you said, the name of the song?
El Llaverito Moderno.
El Llaverito Moderno. That's in the documentary.
That's in the documentary,
I love
too.
that. I love that song. I love that song. That was great. Did she write her own music?
No, she did not. She did not. But actually, she knew she could write music. She could read music because she studied. She actually graduated from El Conservatorio of Cuban Music in Havana. So she was a musician by trade, but she did not play any instrument.
Okay, well, let's go back to Yo Soy Celia Cruz. I'm enjoying the documentary.
It's unbelievable.
You've seen it
I know, I've seen it many, many times.
And how do you feel about watching it again?
I think it's one of the greatest documentaries made about Celia Cruz.
I think so, too.
And she was such an international
And you're watching
figure.
Yo Soy Celia Cruz. Back with me in the studio is music collector and historian Eloy Cepero. And I can't wait to keep asking you questions because I have so many.
Okay.
You mentioned that Celia Cruz has started with La Sonora Matancera. What was the music scene in Cuba at that time like when she first started singing with them? You said that she wasn't very successful at first because she was singing music that really wasn't appealing to...
Well, actually, she began singing Afro-Cuban music.
Okay.
But the Afro-Cuban music was not recorded.
At that time? In records? You could sing it, but...
It was recorded, but very little. When she records the Afro-Cuban music with La Sonora Matancera, then everybody started asking for Afro-Cuban music. And then
so
from
she
there,
made
she
it
goes
popular.
into La Guaracha, which is very popular. And El Son Montuno also, another
And why
Cuban
did
genre.
she start with the Afro-Cuban music?
Oh, because probably she lived in that barrios, in that neighborhood, where they used to play that type of music, and she picked it up since she was a little girl.
Yeah, I heard some of it in the documentary.
Exactly. Well, actually, you can see some of the pictures there in the barrios. You know?
Yeah, I did that. I saw that. So then, okay, so she starts playing with La Sonora Matancera. She gains popularity. She becomes this big hit. Why does she leave Cuba?
Well, actually, when the government changes, when Castro take over the island, and then they start restricting the singers and the orchestras, and then at the first opportunity she had, she went to Mexico, because actually she had visited a lot of Latin American countries, so she was very well known in the Latin countries, and then she goes to Mexico. She records a movie. Pobrecito Corazón, and
Pobrecito Corazón.
yeah, and became a hit. And then she did not want to return to Cuba, and then from there she goes to Spain. In Spain, she didn't do that well because the Spanish people were not used to the Cuban music.
That type of music, right?
But then,
very different.
Tito Puente had La Lupe. Singing, which was very popular in New York City, and they break up. La Lupe was not easy, and they broke up. And then he needed a singer, and she tells Celia, why don't you come and join me in New York City? And that's the best thing ever happened to Celia Cruz. She was with Tito Puente, which already well known for 7 years, and they record a lot of hits. And that's how she began such a tremendous career. Then she started becoming internationally known when she recorded with Johnny Pacheco, con Bebo Salamanca. She recorded with a lot of people.
And she stayed living in New York.
She lived in New York, and actually when she died, she was in New York City when she died. She always, New York was her base that she
There was
lived
a performance in Colombia. Tell us
Palmyra.
about that. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
Because you were mentioning
that was a small stadium where they play soccer, and they put a stage in the center of the stadium, and she started singing. After the third song, people got so emotional that they started climbing into the stage. Actually, the stage went down. Even the piano collapsed completely, and she also fell down. They halted the band, the piano.
Because people were just
and
crazy
she got
about
so
her.
mad that as she was leaving, people, especially women, said, "Celia, don't go, no te vayas." And then she said, when she got to the hotel room, she said, "Oh my God, I really got mad, but I never should have gotten mad because these people love me so much that they were the cause that the stage collapsed." And then she said, "I changed the way I was thinking then, and I was very appreciative."
And if you love Celia Cruz as much as the Colombians, and we still do, azúcar, Eloy.
Azúcar.
Azúcar. So, azúcar, where did that come from?
Well, let me tell you, the first guy who used that was Benny Moré.
Oh, yeah?
But he only used it once, and after that, she picked it up. And I understand in one of the documents that I saw, she needed some more sugar in her coffee. Y le dijo, ponle más azúcar. And the guy did not listen. He said, azúcar. And from then on, she started using the word azúcar. We actually became a trademark.
Yeah, it's her signature word.
Whenever she opened up, she said, azúcar. I got everybody moving. You know, so
yeah, it was like a trigger that you're gonna have fun. This is gonna be sweet. This is gonna be what you need, right? Azúcar. Yeah, people, even people that don't know her very well, they know that word. When they hear that name, they associate that word automatically with her.
And she's such a well-known figure. Not only internationally, not only in the United States.
She sang in English.
Yeah, she did that in
the documentary.
Yeah, and she actually did a movie, La Familia Pérez, and then she sang in the Mambo Kings also.
That's right. I saw the Mambo Kings.
She could do anything, and she was such a person that if you ever been at Versailles at lunchtime, that place is always packed. When she came with her limousine, people would move the cars out of the parking spaces so she could put her limousine in there.
She spent a lot of time in Miami, right?
Yeah, she had a lot of friends in Miami, and besides, she felt like Miami was the closest to Cuba.
Yeah, she loved Miami. Of course, she still loved the Cuban culture. In New York, there's a big Cuban enclave, and she was such a colorful character. Artist. It wasn't just her music, but the way she dressed and the way she lived life with passion. I love the wigs.
I think her humility. She was such a down-to-earth person. That is, Steve was mentioning that I was the first time I met her, I was actually captivated by the way she was. What a Dime algo, mulato. Tell me something, guy. And what a wonderful person.
Yes, she was a wonderful person. And you're a wonderful person for being here today and helping WLRN and for your involvement in this documentary. Let's return to Yo Soy Celia Cruz. And you are watching Yo Soy Celia Cruz. Back with me in the studio is music collector and historian Eloy Cepero. We have been talking about the incredible life of Celia Cruz as an artist. What catapulted her to this kind of fame, international and historic fame, really?
Yeah, when she moved to New York City and played with Tito Puente, which was one of the most important orchestras in New York City, everybody wanted to record with Celia Cruz because they knew that the record would sell. So she started recording with Johnny Pacheco, Willie Colón, con Bebo Salamanca, con La Sonora Ponceña.
Okay.
And everybody wanted to record with her because they knew the record would sell.
How many records did she make?
I understand for one of the, I think it's about around 80 long planes, LPs, which is a lot. How
many do you have?
I have her about, I would say about 50, which is a lot. I have with just about everybody that you record.
That's wonderful.
Especially at the beginning with the La Sonora Matancera, which they're very rare,
We were just listening to Kimbara, Kimbara, Kuma, Kimbamba. I think I said that correctly.
Right.
I was practicing.
That's when she goes to Africa. Oh. Actually, they do the first tour to Africa. And Johnny Pacheco was very young in that you could see him not only directing the band, but dancing with her. And she looks very young and very pretty.
She was already living in New York at
She
the
was
time?
already, yeah. She moved in, when she left Spain, she went to New York in 1967, and then she remained there until she died.
Got it. You know, I think at first you were mentioning that it was kind of, you know, difficult for her to get into La Sonora Matancera. What was it because of her style of music? Was it because she was a female, a young female, a black female? What?
No, the reason why she had a lot of problem was because everybody liked Mirta Silva so much that they didn't think that nobody could replace Mirta Silva.
So they just were not accepting
and not only
of
did
this
she
new
replace
young girl.
Mirta Silva, she became a very good friend because Mirta Silva moved to New York City, and then they became very good friends. And she was actually better than Mirta Silva then.
She became and more known
Very
at
well
that
known.
point.
Yeah.
Mirta Silva had gone to Puerto Rico and lost some of her
And then she moved to New
traction.
York, and she had a television show, but then Celia became such a big star all over the world. It's unbelievable.
Excellent. Wow.
When she died, I was at the Freedom Tower taking some of the call for Radio Marti, and they would call from everywhere, from Turkey, from Japan, from Peru, from Africa, and I couldn't believe the people were calling from everywhere because she was not all over the world. Unbelievable. Her life is one in a lifetime.
Eloy, okay, this is $1 million question.
Okay.
Who gave her the title Queen of Salsa?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Especially in
Like
New York
who?
City. That's when she became, once she signed in 1974 with Fania Lestar, she became a very well-known figure all over the world because Fania was the hottest producer of Latin music all over the world. So she became a very
And
well-known
salsa was
person.
hot.
And salsa was
And that
hot.
was a genre, right? That had.
Well, salsa is not in genre, but it was a movement, basically, of Cuban music with together with influence from other music from other countries.
Celia started out with Afro-Cuban music, then moved on to Huaracha, and then.
Huaracha and son montuno.
Okay,
And
son montuno.
she sang very little bolero, but she was outstanding singing bolero. And then when she goes to New York, then salsa was very hot.
It's like a fusion of all
It's a
different
fusion of all the
genres,
music
right?
of the, especially music of the Caribbean, and that was the type of music to play, and she did it like nobody else.
In the documentary, she says, well, I was called the Queen of Salsa, and I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind those names. She was very honest. I don't mind those
I really
names.
don't mind that
But
title.
she embodied everything. I mean, she was a queen. The way she dressed, her wigs. She started dressing like that later on, right? In her
she
career.
became very famous. And once she moved to New York, you can see she has over 100 wigs, a different color, red.
It was like you not only wanted to hear her when you went to see her, you wanted to see her for what she was wearing.
And the shoes.
Tell me about the shoes.
Oh my God, she had more than 100 pair of different shoes just for acting.
Wow. And she won a bunch of awards.
She won a total of 7 Grammys and Latin Grammys. And not only that, she was given the University of Miami honoris degree in music and from Yale University.
Oh, wow. To me, you know, one of her best-known songs is one of her latter songs, which is La Vida es un Carnaval.
Exactly.
I mean, when you're sad, when you're feeling down, when you have some weight on your shoulders, you need to listen to that song because it really lifts your spirit, right? When did she record that?
That was one of the last songs that she recorded.
Yet it's one that we hear in every party that you go to, every wedding.
I would say that it's probably her most famous song after Kimbara Kimbara. It was written by Victor Daniel in Argentina.
Oh,
and yeah, he wrote it with a little guitar, but the arrangers took that song and they made it what it is today.
An incredible
song.
La vida es un carnaval. Life is a carnival.
Right.
And that embodied her life, her attitude, her music, and everything. We have her to thank, and to thank you, Eloy Cepero and Steve Reutzstein, and thank you, Suzanne, for your help. We also want to thank the Celia Cruz Foundation for allowing us to broadcast this excellent program.